Questions?
Coach, how do you feel about what you saw out there today?
I told the guys afterwards, I think we're doing a really good job of being consistent in the controllables. What are the controllables? Energy, effort, attitude, communication, just the things that don't take any talent. And to me, when you get to that level where you can be consistent with the controllables, I think your culture is really starting to take over. I think what you stand on as a program is really starting to be infused throughout all the players. Obviously, we're putting in installs, so it's different packages go in. So there's a learning curve. I've seen some consistency in the execution in the things that they know, which is good. The new stuff is kind of it takes them a minute or two, which is understandable. But I think we're making the right progress right now. For us, we're focusing on trying to find out who else. And when you do that, sometimes you're putting guys in positions where they may not be as comfortable. You take the O-line, for example. Obviously, we're trying to move the pieces around to figure out who can play what positions. Obviously, if we played a game today, we know who's going to play right guard, left guard, tackle, center. We know that, right? But we're trying to figure out, hey, when things start to really get into the season, who else? Who can play, left guard? Who can play on the right side and the left side? So those are the things that we're trying to figure out, which makes it sometimes difficult to evaluate. Hey, did you have a good practice? Well, you got to go back and look at the film because you're really evaluating how guys are doing with what they're given to do rather than what can he do, if that makes sense.
Coach, kind of with that on that same topic in a way, at the linebacker position, Eli and Beauplan, those guys have been there, done that. But who else do you have at linebacker that you've seen so far through spring that you've liked?
Charlie Gray is obviously in that mix as well. He's kind of in that, been there, done that. We've played him a bunch last year, so he's kind of been there. I think Kerryon Martin, falls back into that mix. He's a guy that is kind of that tweener between a Sam and a Star, and he's kind of in the run, he's in the pass, and he's doing some really good things. Obviously, coming back off of that injury, just shaking some rust off, but he's doing some really good things. Leon Hart, a kid that probably should be at the prom right now, coming out of high school, he's doing some really good things. And you look at it and you say, okay, well, when they know what to do, can they do it? And with both of those guys, Martin and Hart, when they know what to do, they do pretty good. Now, they don't know a lot of what to do right now. But when they do know what to do, and there are some things that stand out, I think Leon is really physical. Even if he's a step behind or he steps the wrong way and then he reverses back, he's not afraid of the contact, which is good. So we feel good about the group. We feel good about the development of the group. So we just got to continue to put them in uncomfortable situations until they can get comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I know we talked about quarterbacks a lot, and we're probably going to talk about that until we get really tired of it. But how are you feeling at this point? I know we're not expecting a drastic leap from Monday to Wednesday, but how are they progressing? Are you happy with where they're at so far?
Well, I think right now, just operating the offense, obviously Cam has taken a step. As far as operating the offense, handling the installs and handling the workload. He's done a better job now. He's a little more vocal. He's not, the mouth of the South or, ready to go on the dog radio show. But he is a little more vocal. We've seen some flashes of his leadership with getting guys lined up and really taking guys by the hand and saying, hey, no, you're lined up over here. Right now, Cade Cunningham is probably the guy that is right now the closest to Cam as far as operating the offense and what we have in as a load. And then you have what we consider your talent, but the unknowns or the don't knows is probably the best way to say it, right? So you got Chase Harrison, who's got the talent, but he doesn't know the playbook. You got Peter Zamora, who's got the arm talent, but doesn't know the playbook. So what we've done is we've tried to minimize the new on them to build confidence. So they're doing a lot of the same plays over and over and over. And what you get a chance to see is, obviously you can call the same play and the defense can play 4 different defenses and the ball can go 4 different spots. You're starting to see that now with Chase and Peter. you're starting to see the same plays, and they're putting the ball in the right spot. They're putting the ball where it needs to be based on the reads, which is what we're looking for. Now taking the next step over the next week or so, we got to pour a little bit more on them to see what they can handle, if that makes sense.
Coach, another position, kind of like linebacker at the wide receiver room, you had, Corey and Talik and Shadid. You kind of know what you have with those guys, but talk about maybe some of the younger guys, or even, like Brian Robinson, like a newcomer. What are you seeing from that room?
Yeah, I think Brian Robinson has really taken a step, and I'm not going to say cemented, but at least positioned himself in the top group, if that makes sense. He's a little bit behind as of what to do, so there's some plays that, kind of cloudy his mind and he's not sure. But he's got really strong hands. He's fast. He's a strong player. When he contacts the DB, the DBs don't knock him around. So he's done a really good job. We got to just continue to put him in different positions. Obviously, when you play receiver, you just don't play one spot, right? So you got to know how to play all three. And he's comfortable in one spot now. We're trying to get him comfortable in all three, just the different formations. But his skill set has put himself in that top group. I think Caleb Coons is another guy who redshirted last year. Has put himself in the mix. He's got some unbelievable COD, change of direction, quick twitch, that's going to give us some in the slot options. And then Jaden Harrison is a guy who played a little bit as well. He's putting on more of a load now. So last year is kind of where Brian Robinson was, where he had a really good feel for, one position and one area, based on formation. But now he's put himself to where he can play multiple spots. And then you got the mayor, which is, Stone Scarcelli, who's just, kind of Mr. Consistent. You can plug and play him at any spot, and, he's going to be able to operate. He's taking a big leadership role on the team, not just in the receiver group, which is good.
You talked about defense being ahead the other day, making it difficult on the offense. Has the offense caught up a little bit, where you're happy where they're both challenging each other, or is the defense still maybe a little ahead right now?
Yeah, I think we're probably about even. I talked about in the very beginning, you wanted that back and forth. And we're probably about even now with the back and forth. We're we don't scrimmage on during the week, so we're not going to the ground. So there's a little bit of, oh, coach, I would have broke that tackle, or, oh, coach, I would have tackled him. But as far as, hats on the right hats, getting the ball distributed, making plays down the field, you're starting to see a little back and forth, which is good. Obviously Saturday will be a big test, because we'll actually have to go to the ground. And now the whistle's not going to blow when you get close to the guy. But I think we're back to that kind of back and forth, which is good.
You mentioned Saturday. I'm assuming, Saturday's format is going to be, full on scrimmage, I assume.
Yeah, Saturday will be, kind of the midterm exam, which will be probably the heaviest, of our scrimmages as far as full live contact. Obviously the spring game, but that'll be a modified, organizational, we'll be limited in the playbook. It'll be quick. But Saturday will be a heavy, scrimmage day. And then the following Saturday will probably be, about 85%, so we got 2 more tests to take, if that makes sense. And then what we'll do, Saturday, we'll actually grade it and kind of figure out, okay, where is, person X after 2 weeks? Do we think we need to put more on him, or do we need to back off of him so he goes into the summer with confidence? I think that's a big part of it too. You want to make sure that at the end of these 15 practices, all the individuals on the team, all the coaches, all the players, all the trainers, everyone in the organization has got to have confidence moving forward. And it's my job to make sure that we manage practice, install, meetings, everything, so that everyone has some type of confidence moving forward. I don't want anybody going into the summer feeling like, man, I really didn't get better this spring. Man, I still don't feel comfortable. So we want to make sure, whatever level, if that's Chase Harrison only being able to do 6 plays, I want him to know those 6 plays and feel confident about that. If that's Jacoby Henderson only being able to play a couple defenses, whatever it is. And it's my job to kind of balance that. And Saturday's scrimmage will be a good, kind of a litmus test of where we are.
You mentioned the spring game. Obviously, I know there was some question on whether it was going to be indoor, outdoor. Any kind of update there yet?
Yeah, we were still kind of working through the logistics. We have an idea, but I don't want to throw out the idea and then we find out, we can't do something logistically. We should have something, I would say probably by the middle of next week, beginning of next week, to kind of announce, because we want to be able to announce everything, right? Tailgating, fanfare. We want to be able to announce everything. So just checking on some logistical things to kind of finalize exactly where and how much, how many, that whole deal. We're close though.
I'm good.
Anything else?
I'm good here as well.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.